And I think this point is something that we should also listen to, because I think this is quite poignant to us as well.
This, like climate change and the increasing natural disasters and the increasing cost of the natural disasters may influence how we think about like accruing wealth in this country, because for my whole life, for decades, it's been you aspire to own your home, you want to buy a house, you work toward that for years, and that's how, because that price goes up, that's how you accrue wealth. And if so many homes in the country become hard to insure, uninsurable, that's not going to be a way that people like get up into the middle class anymore.
Yeah. Is it even the right? But I'll counter that, because I had this conversation last night too. Even if you choose to rent and, use your money in different ways to save, invest, become one of those shareholders, I don't know. Someone's got to be the landlord. You're renting from somebody, so somebody owns that house. So while I agree with that, this issue of insurance is ever present and very real, not just in California, everywhere. There are reports. I don't know. One of the things we want to talk about.
That's pretty much it. But they make a very good point. One of the things that has been, I think what she goes on to say here is whether or not it's misinformation, but a lot of the fire insurance that people had was cut not too many weeks before, because it was just way too expensive for insurance companies to cover, especially somewhere like LA, where you're looking at, on average, $2 million houses and up. And it's too much to insure that for things like, natural disasters, fires, which are common in the area.
Well, they're only getting more common, that's the problem.
Exactly. I mean, every summer it seems we've seen, Australia's the same pretty much every summer. I mean, ourselves the same. We've had pretty much every summer we have a fire. I think currently the Coromandel, I think, is currently having a bit of a fire issue. I think it's the Coromandel. They're also having fires. So Canterbury, very commonly we have fires in this area as well, because it gets very dry. But
yeah. Well, I mean, there was a fire when I was down there.
Yeah, exactly. So they make a really good point, though. I think we will start to see some of those similar things happening, where disaster insurance or fire insurance, flood insurance, those sorts of things. I think we've already seen it. You can't really insure properties too close to the coastline that have been stated as coastal. Sorry, my brain's going too close to the coast. They're going to get,
basically, they're risk prone to all of that flooding, erosion, tsunami, all that fun shit.
Tsunami, I think, is one that you can't predict, so they typically are, I don't know, probably higher premiums. But certainly, if you're in an erosion zone, it's pretty much impossible to get insurance for some of those houses. So we're already seeing that. I wouldn't surprise me if fire's another one that gets up there as well.
Oh yeah, I mean,
can it?
Absolutely. I know that Phil's been talking a bit about the issues around fire insurance at the moment recently. There's a lot of, I think they were trying to maybe potentially loosen up some things to try and expand it, because obviously with the emergency that's going on right now, they're kind of just doing, crap, sorry that we didn't let you have house insurance. Maybe we'll see if we can I don't know, do a little bit to seem like we're trying to help you. But
yeah.
And
this is coming back to the housing side of it, they're right. Like, what if our investments are tied up in our housing, which we're the same. It's not just America. We are the same. It's very common in the West to, expect the housing market to pay for your retirement, or your home to be your retirement plan, essentially. What happens when that's not insurable? What happens when it burns down and you can't get a payout? Or what do you do? Is that a safe investment anymore? Is it worth owning your own home? But like Katie also says, someone's got to be the landlord. Someone has to rent that house to you. Well, you
Well,
have to
yeah, and
pay
that's
the
the thing
rent
is
on the
people
house.
have to be willing to take the risk on them. They have to be willing to lose money, and that's what people tend to get a bit weird about. They're like, no, I must always be increasing my profits. I must never lose anything on this property ever.
Well, then, if that's the case, you know, do you have greedy landlord? Not I'm gonna say greedy, but landlords that essentially say, well, if I'm going to provide this service, then in order to mitigate, you know, and try and get rid of the mortgage as fast as possible, they're going to hike up the rents perhaps because that'll cover more of their house quicker. Which perhaps if they decide to pull out of their investment earlier, you know, they get a bit more of that money back. So I don't know. Do we just get rid of the private housing market? Is that what's going to happen? Are we just going to see a bunch of empty housing? Is it going to completely crash the market? I don't know.